Good afternoon, Sault Ste. Marie and Algoma. Welcome to Special Report PM Edition, brought to you by KC Securities. I'm here with my co-host Alex Parr.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, we're waiting for Doug Ford. Feed will be coming up shortly. He's going to be on with Christine Elliott, Deputy Premier, as normal, but also with the Minister of Education, Stephen Lecce, as well as Jamal Giovanni, who is the Ontario Advocate for Community Opportunities. And that will be coming up shortly for you, but today is also a special day for sports people.
Yes.
Normally.
So the NHL has made an announcement now on when the Stanley Cup Finals should be done by the latest, which is October 2nd. Tentatively, as we know, everything's up in the air, but right now that is their plan according to Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman. For the next year as well, the draft is currently set for October 6th, with training camps for the 2020-21 season slated to open November 17th, with the next season, which would normally have started this October, starting December 1st, and they're still trying to keep on track to make sure the season after that would start September. October regular season starts back to normal.
Yeah, because normally it's usually like the first week of October that NHL normally starts.
September will be your training camps, but after this season, training camps are going to start November 17th, with that season starting December 1st. They're still planning on a full 82-game season to squeeze in and finish for training camps to start on time for the 2021-22 season, September, start October.
Wow, that's insane.
That's a lot of hockey.
That is a lot of hockey. I can see injuries going way up. Because there's no off-season to recover or anything. I mean, it's pretty much just playing. So unless you lose out pretty quick.
If you win the Stanley Cup or in the Stanley Cup Finals, your last game could be October 2nd, and then you're back to training camp November 17th.
So that's like basically 6 weeks.
Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of favors if you actually are one of the teams eliminated first, if you think about it that way.
Wow. Okay. There could be advantages being knocked out this year. But we're going to check out the weather now. Daniel, let's see our forecast there, buddy.
Thank you very much, Chris and Alex, and good afternoon, Sault Ste. Marie and Algoma. It is another hot and humid day today here in Sault Ste. Marie. I'm going to get right into your regional temperatures here for Northern Ontario behind me. So as you can see, Thunder Bay and Wawa, you're both sitting at 25 degrees right now, and Timmins, 31 degrees. You're under a heat warning in Timmins, as well as Sudbury and Elliott Lake. You both have a heat warning as well, 32 and 33 degrees there respectively. And here in Sault Ste. Marie, we are sitting at 28 degrees. Our record was in 2005, 31.1. We may break a record today. We'll have to wait and see, because we are going to get up to a high of potentially 33 degrees and a low of 20 overnight. So I'll get into your 3-day. Friday, we're looking at a high of 26 degrees. We have a 40% chance of showers and a risk of a thunderstorm with a high humidex again. However, we are going to see some winds come Friday, a little bit in the afternoon. So things are going to change, and then we're going to have a UV index of 7, and then we're going to cool down to about 16 overnight. And here's where the cooling starts. On Saturday, only a high of 24, only. I know, it's been warm. But that is our normal temperatures for around this time of year. We're going to see some sun and a low of 13 and clear overnight. Sunday, high of 23 again, mainly sunny. And then you're going to see that that clear sky kind of stick around for Sunday night, and a low of 13. You're going to have a nice few days of relief. So we'll go right into the 7-day quick outlook. Monday, you're looking at a high of 25 degrees, and again, mainly sunny, 16 degrees overnight. And this is when it starts to actually trend upward again with high pressure and heat. We're going to go up to 29 on Tuesday, a low of 18, 28 on Wednesday and a low of 18, and then Thursday a high of 30 and a low of 19. So as you can see, more heat will be coming, more humidity of course with that, and this is going to stick around for probably a majority of July. So I hope everybody's looking forward to it. I'm going to send it back over to Chris.
Thank you very much, Daniel. So looking pretty good over the next week or so for, again, some summer weather in here. And also this morning I talked about school restarting in the fall, and I had mentioned about school in Taiwan, and the kids basically are wearing popsicle sticks on their heads that are 3 feet long, so that if they hit someone else, they know they're within 6 feet, and they have to space out. So you're going to see this coming up on your screen now. So this is what it looks like over there on your other side of the screen than what Alex and I are on. And these head headgear they've been using them to make sure that the kids are staying 6 feet apart. So, and the other part too, they let the kids all customize their headgear. So it was kind of like an arts project for them. So then they kind of get to personalize it so it feels more like their own than if they all just went and wore the same thing.
For me, if I was a kid wearing that, I would be having like lightsaber fights with the things on the side of my head with the other students. Maybe I shouldn't go to school in Taiwan, actually, now that I say that out loud.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't do that. Or give the kids here that idea if they're going to do that here.
I don't approve of anything I just said.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Neither does on TV.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. And then the other thing too with the schooling is in some classrooms in other countries they have actually put up, so it looks like cubicles like you would in an office, and they put these cubicles up. So there's different ways that they are be able to put people together without them actually, because if you put tape in the ground, a kid can just reach over, right? But if there's an actual wall there, they can't. So there is different ideas. I'm going to do a whole show on different possible ways we can open our schools this fall. Probably in a couple of weeks when we get some better ideas of what it's actually going to kind of look like. I know I saw a thing with the Toronto School Board the other day and the new interim head of it, and she was talking a bit about what the Toronto School Board is going to look like to come this fall. But a lot of it will be staggered classes, and there'll be virtual plus in-class.
Do you think today's announcement will have anything to do with that, considering the Minister of Education is on hand?
It could, yeah. I think they might say whether or not they're going to do a mixture of virtual or I don't see the Ontario government at the present moment in time saying we're going back to school with 23 or 24 kids in a class.
No, I can't see that being the case.
I don't see that
either.
being
It's
an
also
option right
early.
now.
I figured this announcement wouldn't come until maybe August, even first week or two into.
Yeah, I'm not sure if today's announcement will be that. I think it might be something to do with summer school even maybe.
Ooh,
because there is that other issue. People have to take stuff in the summertime to catch up for next fall. But at the same time, the school year was all messed up.
Maybe they're going to announce the new charity or funding the, it wasn't the We charity anymore, funding the student aid. Maybe that will be the new announcement.
Well,
that's federal. That is federal, too, actually.
It depends. I mean, there is grants. There is summer grants from the Ontario government as well, which is a separate grant program. Like a lot of the forest fighting that happens in Ontario is actually done by university students and college students in the summertime. My best friend from high school did it for a summer. He went and he chopped down trees to prevent forest fires.
One of my best friends is literally just got sent off in a helicopter to go do that.
Yeah, because they go in and they clear all the brush out, because that's what really catches it on fire. It's not the actual trees, it's down on the ground. If they clear that area out, as many people know living here in Northern Ontario, that actually prevents forest fires, and it's actually cheaper than fighting forest fires too. Plus it gives all kinds of students an opportunity to make some good money in the summertime before they have to go back to school.
Not a bad little government gig if I do say so myself, right?
Yeah. And speaking of, and Doug Ford is here.
Speaking of the government.
So we will be going to Doug Ford in just 1 second. Oh, well, maybe.
Oh, is that a little tease?
We might have had a false alarm here. We're just doing a little teaser here.
Take your time, Doug.
No, take your time, Doug.
I don't want to rush you.
It's not like you did a 2-minute warning or anything, and now it's 2 minutes.
It's better than 2 o'clock yesterday, though, right?
Yeah, it's better than 2 o'clock.
Today we don't even have to work. We just got to
do a whole show yesterday.
We just got to go off the top and then wait for Dougie to fill it up. So.
Okay, well, we'll just pretend Doug Ford is not there yet.
Do you want me to do my best Doug Ford impression?
No, but how about your Tiger Woods impression?
My Tiger Woods impression?
Yeah.
No, I'm not that good of a golfer yet.
Oh,
but Tiger,
there we go.
I see where you're getting at. Tiger Woods did announce that he will be playing in next week's Memorial Tournament in Dublin, Ohio.
And here's Ford, actually.
Okay, fine.
There we go.
Take it
Ford
away.
Well, good afternoon. Our path to a strong recovery starts with creating opportunity for people. Because when people have access to opportunity, they can move up in the world. They can build a better life for themselves. They can realize their full potential. And those opportunities need to start early in life. It has to start with our young people. And if the system is broken, they can't achieve their goals. Last year, over half of the students suspended were students with special education needs. Half of our black students aren't making the choice to pursue an academic stream in high school. Our black, indigenous, and racialized students face more social and economic barriers to success than their fellow students, and that's just not right. They deserve the same shot at their dreams as any other young person their age. So today, we're taking action. Today, we're bringing forward Ontario's new education equity strategy. We will reform suspensions for the primary grades, kindergarten to grade 3. We'll no longer suspend these very young students for non-serious offenses. And starting next year, we'll begin phasing out the practice of streaming for grade 9 students. It's unfair and it's not right to ask these students at such a young age to make a decision that will determine the rest of their high school and post-secondary careers. To make a decision at 14 years old that could affect the rest of their lives. At this age, everyone needs the same foundations for learning. Everyone needs the same opportunity for lifelong success. Streaming, it leaves students behind. At a young age, one decision could exclude a student from a world of opportunities later in life. It's wrong. The system is broken, and we're fixing it. So we're going to stop the practice, starting with grade 9 math curriculum in September 2021. No matter your race, religion, gender, or orientation, I want to see every student succeed. And I want to make something crystal clear. Racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia, Islamophobia, and any kind of hate whatsoever has no place in our classrooms. Any teacher who engages in this type of behavior or who makes hateful slurs, they're done, they're gone. We're strengthening sanctions against teachers who engage in this type of behavior. As Premier, I won't tolerate it. We have to look out for our very young people. And I want to thank Minister Lecce for his leadership on this important strategy. And I especially want to thank Jamil Javani for his guidance, advice on these critical issues. He's a true champion. I'm looking forward to seeing what our students can do when these roadblocks are removed. I want our young people to know that they can do anything they set their mind to. The sky is the limit. Whether you're learning a skilled trade, studying to be an engineer, doctor, or researcher, or thinking about starting up your very own business. I know our young people are going to make us proud. They are the future of this province, and my friends, knowing that, the future looks very bright. Thank you, and God bless the people of Ontario. I'll pass it over to Minister Lecce.
Well, thank you, Premier, and good afternoon. Today's an important day for many who have for generations felt ignored. 2 million students depend on our ability today to break down barriers to their success that impede their upward mobility and to break down those biases that exist within our society. The status quo is morally indefensible. The transformational change we're driving forward will embolden a generation of students to unleash their potential and to tear down the systemic barriers that hold them back. Nous allons libérer le plein potentiel de tous les élèves de l'Ontario. I have been moved by the stories of these kids and their parents. Whether they were told, they will amount to nothing. And these stories and the data that underscore the urgency for change today. In our largest school board, for example, in Toronto, Black students make up about 11% of the student population. However, they represent 34% of students receiving suspensions. Since 2014, overall suspension rates for students in junior kindergarten to grade 3 have increased. Over 40% of those suspensions were issued for discretionary reasons. We cannot allow this to continue. We're proposing to move forward in eliminating discretionary suspensions for students in kindergarten up to grade 3 starting this September. Now, of course, serious offenses would continue to face suspensions to keep staff and students safe. We're acting to ensure all young people can pursue ambitious career paths. Currently, students in grade 8, as the Premier noted, have to make a decision that affects their lives for decades. It's why our government is moving forward with the de-streaming of Ontario curriculum, beginning with the grade 9 math curriculum in September of 2021. The facts are clear. Students who are enrolled in applied courses are over 4 times less likely to graduate. In Toronto, 47% of Black students take applied courses, compared to less than 19% for non-Black students. Only 1/3 pursue post-secondary education. It's time we end this practice and give a fair chance to all of our kids. We've also heard from parents that Ontario's diverse student population must feel accepted in their schools. These families deserve accountability and justice for incidents of racist behavior in our classrooms. In battling racism and discrimination in our school system, we will hold staff accountable if you inflict trauma and hurt on these young kids' lives. You know, these words live with them forever. And for that reason, we'll be working with the Ontario College of Teachers to strengthen sanctions for racist behavior and remarks within our classrooms. I also know we need to enhance mandatory training for our teachers and our education workers, and I know that they care deeply about this. So I've proposed additional mandatory training on anti-racism, and I'm calling and urging all of our partners, including our teacher unions, to get on board with this important step forward. And in partnership with the Ontario Trustees Association, we will create mandatory anti-racism training for every trustee in this province. Now, we also know that when schools reflect the communities around them, there are immediate and long-term positive impacts on our students. Better test scores, more consistent attendance, and reduced dropout rates. This is why the government will move forward with ensuring qualified and diverse candidates are given opportunities to work and to get promoted. Folks, we can literally change the lives of a generation. And our mission is to build a province where equality of opportunity is a reality, not an aspiration. This is the legacy that we will build together. I'd like to turn it over to Jamil Javani. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Minister Lecce. I stand before you today as a person who was streamed by the public school system in this province when I was a teenager. I was put into applied courses, and I know that very few people who experience streaming in our schools ever make it to a place like this, standing before you at an official podium alongside the Premier of Ontario. By the grace of God, I am here. I am grateful to be here to work with this government to make changes to our education system. I stand with those who had their futures limited by previous policies, and I'm committed to making a difference for the next generation. Today's announcement by Premier Ford and Minister Lecce is significant for numerous reasons. We are challenging Ontario's education establishment to become more student-centered. The education establishment in this province, and by this I mean the school boards, teachers' unions, teachers' colleges, and other institutions that create the education status quo in Ontario, need to be challenged to serve students better. For well over a decade now, the provincial government has been falling in line with the establishment and waiting for them to change policies and practices. It's obvious that hasn't been working. Thankfully, we now have a premier who is shaking things up. The province is not waiting for the education establishment to change their policies and practices. Instead, the province is leading by example. More work must be done to continue this movement toward a student-centered school system. But today's announcement undeniably moves us in the right direction. This is also a critical moment because it is a victory for many parents and leaders in Ontario's Black communities who worked with this government to identify the actions we are taking now. Many of these community voices have historically fallen under the radar of past governments and also the news media. Governments and news media have typically paid attention to a small fraction of the Black community that makes the most noise and sends the most tweets. But there are many other voices in Ontario's Black community with a lot to say, such as moms and dads who send their children to our schools, those in churches and mosques and temples, those who lead sports and tutoring programs, and those who run businesses. Many of them deserve credit for bringing their voices to our government and advocating for change. I'm going to name some people specifically. I can't name everyone right now, but I do want to acknowledge a few folks who I think were critical to today's policy changes. I'm talking about people like Chris and Kamisha Blackwood, two parents who have 5 kids in the Toronto school system. And despite all the demands on their time, they found a time to create a province-wide petition asking for changes to streaming and suspensions. And they had over 500 families sign that petition. I'm also talking about folks like Devon Jones and his team and Jane and Finch who run the YACE program, which serves thousands of kids and parents every year. And also Warren Salmon and his team at the Ontario Alliance for Black School Educators, who are constantly coming up with new ideas for how the education system might be improved. Credit is due to each of them and many more. Thank you for making these changes possible. My hope is that we will remember today as a call to continue elevating voices in the Black community who have been historically ignored, and to look beyond the noise and the tweets. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to the phone line for questions. First question.
First question comes from Lucas Meyer from News Talk 1010. Please go ahead.
Hi, Lucas.
Good afternoon, Premier. And actually, I have some questions for the minister, if that's possible.
Yeah.
Minister Lecce, now that you're here, we still have no idea what school is going to look like, school to school, board to board in the fall. And of course, making that worse is the fact that we also really don't have a good snapshot of what childcare is going to look like, hopefully by August. And, you know, thanks to the great reporting that Caroline had in the Globe today, it seems as though some messaging to the boards has gotten a little bit mixed up lately as well. Considering all this, is the government recommending to families and parents, and I'm sure many have already done this, but do you want to take this opportunity to tell parents and families that they should talk to their employers right now about flexibility in the fall because of all of these unknowns? Should those conversations be happening right now?
Yeah, thank you for the question. When we made our announcement about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we made it very clear then, as we are today, that school boards in Ontario must be prepared for 3 circumstances given the variability that can take place over the coming weeks when it comes to public health and the ability of the province to continue to flatten the curve. A month ago, we made a judgment call that we need to be ready because that's the lesson learned from COVID-19. We need a plan to ensure the continuity of learning. The framework we unveiled, this government unveiled, will ensure that. And of course, the preference of the government continues to be everyday, day-to-day, conventional in-class delivery, meaning students in class each and every day with heightened health and safety protocols. But the prerequisite has to be safety. And I would believe that that is a consensus position, that if we can get to a point, working with public health, the command table, and Dr. Williams and the Minister of Health, that it can be done, the aim of the government is to do it. So we're working very closely with the command table in this respect. Because of the good work of the people of Ontario over the past 3 weeks since we made that announcement, we've seen a significant reduction in the amount of cases of COVID in Ontario. And that's a credit to the people of Ontario for adhering to the advice of public health. So my point is, we're going to be prepared for 3 scenarios. The government's preference is everyday, day-to-day delivery, 5 days a week in class. And the obligation on us today, and we are doing this, is working closely with public health to get to a point that we can scale up that plan. But the reason why we have a plug-and-play scenario of 3 different plans is because we need to be ready. We do not know what will happen in August. And so out of abundance of caution, to ensure there's not a gap in learning, we're going to be ready for 3 circumstances with a preference for in-class, day-to-day delivery. That's something that we believe can be done. It just will require a continued work with the Chief Medical Officer of Health.
Follow up.
Okay. So the question was, should families and parents, is it your recommendation that they should be speaking with their employers right now about flexibility in the fall? And another question, if you can, has the government set aside funding for mobile portable classrooms?
So with respect to the first question, the government's hope and our aspiration, what we're working on over time as we speak to you, with the Chief Medical Officer of Health and the COVID-19 command table, is to provide an in-class, day-to-day delivery of education, meaning every day in the week. So we hope to avoid that circumstance. We want to get there, but of course, it's a decision point made by doctors at the command table, not by politicians, because we're talking about the safety of our most vulnerable. There's additional funding put in the GSN, the Grant for Student Needs, for all boards of education. Every single board in Ontario has more funding. In Toronto, for example, $55 million more in order to enable them to prepare and plan for all those circumstances for September.
Next question.
Next question comes from Chris Rushowy from the Toronto Star. Please go ahead.
Hi, Chris.
Thank you. Thanks. My first question is for Minister Lecce, and it's with regards to school reopening this fall. There's been a lot of concerns raised about working parents and how they're going to handle any scenario if kids are not in school full time. There's other jurisdictions, they're looking at extra classroom space in unused public buildings or commercial spaces, and I'm just wondering if Ontario is looking at any creative options for students to return full time or anything else that you're considering.
Yeah, I mean, part of our aim is to get students back into class in a conventional setting. It's something that the government has always wanted. The prerequisite is safety. We're working with the command table on ensuring the health and safety protocols are robust, that gives confidence to parents that they could be safe. There's additional funding in place for cleaning, as you know, and staffing through the Support for Students Fund. And of course, we are working closely with boards of education and encourage them as well as they build out their plans in a localized manner to be innovative with options to deliver education. But we have confidence that we can get there, that we can get kids in class each and every day. It just will require the continued collaboration with the Chief Medical Officer of Health so that we're able to provide you, the parents of this province, with absolute confidence that the plan, the funding, and the professional development that will be done before school commences could give confidence that you can send your child to class safely in September.
Follow up.
Okay. On another issue, back to COVID, the Toronto Board of Health has sent a letter, and it's urging the province to take action to fight COVID in the city's northwest corner, which is actually in the Premier's riding, because it's been so hard hit by the virus. They're asking for things like increased testing, faster results, free accommodations for self-isolation, and I'm just wondering if the province is going to take these steps, what your plans are.
I'll turn it to Minister Elliott. Yep.
Well, one of the things that we did when we responded with our revision to our testing strategy was to be able to respond to areas that are in breakout. We have done that, of course, as you know, in the Windsor-Essex area with agricultural workers. We're prepared to do that wherever else we need to do. So we're certainly happy to look at the situation in northwestern Toronto. If they need help, if they need excess testing, of course, we will help out. We're also working with the federal government who's helping provide quarantine accommodations as well. So it's really important that we all work together, municipal, provincial, and federal, in order to make sure that we respond appropriately to COVID-19. But we're certainly happy to assist with mobile testing units in the assessment centers that we've already set up.
Next question.
Next question comes from Tina Yazdani from City News. Please go ahead.
Hi, Tina.
Hi, this question is for Minister Lecce.
Yep.
When looking at racism in Ontario schools, one of the biggest criticisms that has come up is that the curriculum doesn't adequately address Black history. Are you looking to make any changes to that? What are you doing to address the curriculum issue specifically?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I know in grade 3, 6, and 9 within the curriculum, there are specific references to from a Black history perspective codified in the curriculum. I also know that in each and every grade, there is a anti-racism lens applied to the curriculum that's being provided. We have unveiled today a very important step forward to deal with racism within our schools, to deal with the racism that I believe manifests through sort of in our schools, within our communities, and our broader society. And so we have to do better in this respect. It's why we've brought forth a plan on suspensions, on streaming, on professional development, on diversifying our educators within our classrooms. And that, I think, is an important step. What it also allows us to do is build upon this action, because this is not a one-day event. We know that in order to change the hearts and minds of our population, to build a culture of inclusion and respect, it's going to take a lot of work. And that work is starting today in a very meaningful way. And so we're going to continue our work with, of course, the community advocate, with Jamil Javani and others, to listen to that advice, to how we can better reflect the true diversity of our province within our curriculum, within our leadership of our schools, and within the broader province.
Follow up.
Thank you for that. And just to switch back to COVID-19 here, and maybe this is best for the health minister. Sure. We've heard from a nurse who still hasn't received pandemic pay, and now she's hearing the pay will only apply to the time she spends directly assessing COVID-19 patients. So the unit manager would have to determine what percentage of each shift the nurse spends interacting with COVID patients. We're wondering if this is a directive that's coming from the government, and was that the intention for the pay?
No, that's not the case. It's applied to everyone who has been in contact, who's been designated. There's 375,000 people in Ontario that will be receiving pandemic pay. They should be receiving it very shortly, in fact, by the end of this week, which is quickly approaching. But no, it's not going to be weighted based on the percentage of their shift that they spent working directly with COVID patients. We know that many people, many nurses, in fact, interact with COVID patients on every part of their shift. They are the true heroes in all of this, and they will be receiving pandemic pay for that entire period. That was stated by the government.
Next question.
Next question comes from Michael Crawley from CBC News. Please go ahead.